This is day 64 in my 6-mark challenge for AQA GCSE Science. In the run-up to the GCSE exams, I'm posting new 6-mark questions each Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so you can practice how to answer them. You can find a link in the description below to each week's questions and also access all of the videos in the playlist. Today's 6-mark question is another example of a question that doesn't involve an extended piece of text, but it's still important that you take some time to thoroughly read the question and make sure that you're answering all aspects of it to get the full marks. Don't just draw the Punnett square and then stop. So if you haven't already, pause the video and give yourself 6 minutes to answer this question. Achondroplasia is a type of dwarfism controlled by a single gene. The allele for this type of dwarfism is dominant. Consider the offspring born when one parent has dwarfism and the other parent does not. Predict the likelihood of a female child with dwarfism being born. You should assume that the parent with dwarfism is heterozygous. Draw a Punnett square diagram, identify each offspring's phenotype, and predict and explain the probability of a female child with dwarfism. Our very first step with a Punnett square question is to identify the genotypes of both parents. So we're told in the question explicitly that the parent with dwarfism is heterozygous. That means that they have 2 different alleles for the gene that could code for this dwarfism. So their genotype is going to be capital D, little d. And then the other parent does not have dwarfism, and we're also told in the question that this type of dwarfism is dominant. So that means that they cannot have any dominant alleles. They must be little d, or in other words, homozygous recessive. Next, we need to draw our Punnett square. So we're going to add in the parental gametes. So each parent has 2 different alleles, and each gamete is going to get one of those alleles. So for instance here, I could have my parent with dwarfism who is heterozygous at the top. So we've got one either egg or sperm has the dominant allele and the other has the recessive allele, and then the other parent only has recessive alleles, so both of their gametes are going to have recessive alleles. And it doesn't matter which way round I've drawn it, so I could have the parent with dwarfism at the top or the parent with dwarfism down the left hand side. Either one of those would be fine. So now I'm going to start combining those gametes to produce the offspring that are back to diploid and have 2 alleles each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this capital D that is in the top left and I'm going to drop it into the 2 boxes that are below. And then likewise I'm doing the same thing for the recessive allele on the right hand side. And then I'm going to look at the other set of parental gametes and I'm going to take those across. So I've got little d at the top, and so that's going to go into the 2 boxes next to it, and then exactly the same in the ones below. So now I have my genotypes for the offspring. So I've drawn my Punnett square diagram, and next I need to identify each offspring's phenotype. So in other words, what is the expressed characteristic? What can we actually see about them, not just what's going on in their genes? So since dwarfism is dominant, it's the 2 offspring on the left-hand side which have dwarfism. And on the right hand side we have offspring with no dwarfism. And next we need to predict and explain the probability of a female child with this type of dwarfism. So we know that the proportion of dwarfism in the children is 50%, and we also know that the proportion of females in the population is 50%. So we can then use our probability. We know that the probability of 2 different independent events happening at the same time can be found by multiplying those probabilities together. So 50% of 50% gives us 25% of offspring would be female with dwarfism, or at least that's the sort of the statistical likelihood anyway. So in terms of our marks, we're going to get 1 mark for having identified the parental genotypes, 1 mark for having turned that into the gametes genotype. So if you've done your Punnett square and you've got the gametes in there, then that implies that you had worked out the parental genotypes. So even if you haven't written them explicitly, if they're correct in your Punnett square, you can have both of the first 2 marks. Then the genotypes of all 4 offspring would be your 3rd mark. Identifying their phenotypes, so saying these ones have dwarfism and these ones don't, would be your 4th mark. And then we've got our 50% dwarfism being your 5th mark, and working out that that's going to mean 25% overall, that would be your 6th mark. I'll be back again on Wednesday with another chemistry question, this time from the equilibrium topic, which is Unit 6, which is in Paper 2 of AQA GCSE Chemistry. Don't forget there's a link in the description below to all of the questions from this week and also the playlist with all of the videos where I go through the answers. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again on Wednesday for day 65 of our 6-mark challenge. If you did find this video useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more GCSE Science revision videos coming soon.